In this video, we're going to look at the first 3 questions of the Indices Rewriting Expressions worksheet. So this is sort of bridging that gap between what you already know from National 5 and what you need to be able to do in order to answer higher questions. So, starting off with this first one, we've got the square root of x, and then in your bracket you've got x squared, take away the square root of x. So first of all, let's change these roots into powers. So you've got x to the power of a half, square root of x is the same as x to the power of half. X squared remains the same, minus x to the power of a half again. And then you expand this bracket as you would normally. Now, rather than just automatically writing your answer to the first 2 terms multiplied, let's just write them side by side. So you've got x to the power of a half times by x squared. You've then got a takeaway, because it's positive times by a negative. And then you've got x to the power of a half times by x to the power of a half. Now, using our indices rules, we should know that whenever you multiply these 2 together, you can add the powers. So you've got a half plus 2. And then we've still got our takeaway in the middle, and we've got x to the power of a half plus a half, again, because we're multiplying. Now, we don't want mixed numbers with our indices. That can make it a little bit complicated. So let's make that 2 into a fraction. You can write any whole number as 2 over 1. Take away x to the power of a half plus a half, well, that gives you 1 whole. Okay, still dealing with this one. We've got x to the power of a half plus, in order to add fractions, you need a common denominator. So turn that 1 into 2, we times by 2. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So 2 over 1, or just 2, is the same as 4 over 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2, so they're all the same, but now we'll be able to add these. And you still got your takeaway x to the power of 1. Now remember, x to the power of the 1 is just the same as x, so let's just simplify that and leave it as is. Finally, you've got x to the power of 1 over 2 plus 4 over 2. You add your numerators, that leaves you with 5 over 2. Take away x, and that can either be our final answer, or because we started with roots, it's nice to finish with roots. So we could do the square root, so that's the half, x to the power of 5. So the numerator remains as the power to the power of 5. The half we turn back into the square root. Take away x. And that's us done and dusted for that one. Okay. Now the next question is very similar, so I'm going to leave that question 8 and we'll look at our question 9. So this time we've got 1 over x. Now, using your indices rules, remember that x is the same as x to the power of 1, and that's the same as x to the power of 1. In order to write that as x to the power of something, it's x to the power of negative 1. That's how you deal with your fractional indices. And then you've got your bracket, you've got 1, take away, and then x to the power of negative 1 again. Then we can expand our bracket once again. So x to the power of negative 1 times by 1, take away, again, positive times by negative, the take away will win out, x to the power of negative 1 times by x to the power of negative 1. Right. Anything times by 1 is just the term itself, so we've just got x to the power of negative 1 there. We've got our takeaway in the middle, and we're multiplying, so we add our powers again, minus 1 plus minus 1. X to the power of minus 1, take away. So minus 1 plus minus, that's just going to be take away. Positive, negative battle, negative wins. Minus 1, take away 1, will leave you with x to the power of minus 2. And then your last step, you could rewrite it in the form the question was in. So rewriting it, instead of negative powers with positive powers, we'll have 1 over x to the power of 1, take away 1 over x to the power of 2, and just to tidy that up, 1 over x minus 1 over x squared. And that is you done and dusted.